Put your hands together for old men in sweat. Old men in sweat. Put your hands together, y'all. Barry D, Tommy T. We gonna have a good time tonight. Let's go, let's go. It's old men in sweat.
Yeah, so I saw this quote from Charles Barkley, who, you know, we love Barkley because Barkley just says whatever's on his mind. You know, like that's why Barkley's so good at this, is because he just says whatever. I mean, he's been doing it for 25 years on TNT. I think this is the last year for TNT, right? They lost it, right? TNT's got to go somewhere else now.
I think they're trying to go to ESPN.
Yeah, and so anyway, Barkley says, he talking about the Houston Rockets. He used to play for the Rockets. That was his last stop. He says, the Rockets, they don't have any idea how to play basketball. They play the game strictly on talent. He says, this guy, he says they play the game strictly on talent. And then he goes on to say they got so much more talent than the Warriors. And but there's one reason I say they've got a great record, but they're not ready for prime time because the refs had to give them the game tonight. Look at, like I tell you, Barkley, he's never right. He's never right. Never right. I looked it up. The Rockets they're 17-8. They're currently the number 2 seed in the West, right? Well, now they're 17-9. So they're the number 3. They're tied for the number 3 seed in the West. They're a really young team. They got Jalen Green. They got this young guy, Sengun, the guy from Turkey. He's an amazing player, right? I mean, they're a young team. They got Jabari Smith Jr., Amen Thompson. So they're a young team. And Barkley comes out and says they got no idea how to play basketball. He did this. People don't remember, but he did this same thing with the Golden State Warriors back in 2010, 11, and 12. He used to always say the Warriors can't win because they're a jump shooting team. They're a jump shooting team. They're not going to win. He used to hate the Warriors. He said they don't play basketball the right way. They're just a jump shooting team. And then they go on to win four championships. They beat the Boston Celtics. They won with three different rosters, right? And so now his latest is he's coming after the Houston Rockets, and he said they got no idea how to play basketball. Now, like we don't bet a lot of money, but I'm willing to go down there and bet money on the Rockets winning now because he said that. He don't know. The last time he said someone can't win, they won 4. So he's telling me now that they got no idea how to play basketball, which coming from Barkley, that means that they're way better and they're probably going to win because he don't know shit. He don't know anything.
Well,
he's been in basketball his whole life, ever since he was the round mound of rebound, and he still doesn't get it right.
Well, do you think he's just trying to be sensational like these guys just throw stuff out there?
No, he doesn't say things for effect. He's not saying things like oh, I'm gonna get a reaction, or he's not trying to live up to his persona or his reputation. No, he looks at it, he thinks it, and he says it. Like that's what makes him good. He thinks that they don't know how to play basketball. And he's wrong.
What do you mean the ref gave them the game? What game? Like last night?
I don't know. I don't even know this article is from I don't even know when this article is from.
Well, the funny thing they were
17-8. This article was from like 5 days ago. So it's like 6 days ago.
I mean, I don't know. It seems like they're pretty good. 17-8. 17-9.
17-9. They're 17-9 now.
And they're 2 behind Golden State. They're number 2 right now, right?
Yeah, he's nuts.
Right?
Like he's
nuts. He is nuts. And the funny thing is,
the
funny thing is too about him is I just read that the Warriors, he was so negative on the Warriors as a franchise. They're worth the most money right now. NBA, then the Knicks, then the Lakers. They're worth the most money right now. The Warriors. I just read it. I can't remember how many billions.
Well, I mean, but he used to say that they can't win because they're a jump shooting team. Because obviously the Warriors changed basketball. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, they changed the game. And listen, I mean, I can admit they haven't changed the game for the better. The game's not, it's not better now than when it was in the 80s when we used to watch Bird and Magic. When I watched the old, the replays of the Bird Magic games in the championship series in the 80s, I mean, that wasn't great either. Like, they used to shoot, they used to back into the lane. They'd have all 5 defenders in the lane, and then a 15-foot jumper was considered an outside shot back then.
Yep.
So that wasn't like the greatest basketball either, you know. And then the 90s, you had Michael Jordan on that team. That was good basketball. But the way the game is played now, it stinks. You know, the guy breaks the guy off the dribble. He drives to the basket. He's got a layup, and he throws it out to the three-point line, you know, and some other guy takes a 3 and misses. So I understand the game isn't great, but yeah, it makes me laugh when someone comes out and tells me someone can't win and this is why they can't win. Man, he doesn't know. Barkley doesn't know anything. He's just like I always say, Barkley's no different than a couple of guys sitting at a bar just talking about the game. Like, he doesn't know anything more than us.
Well, and I also think Barkley's sensitive about that. He's one of those old guys that still wants the game to be what he remembers, what he knows. He still wants to be it. Remember, he used to back guys down. They had to change the rule because he'd back guys down into the lane and he'd take the ball. Remember, he would just take the air out of the ball and he would never.
He would back a guy down like for 10, 15 seconds of the shot clock. You know, I mean, he was obviously a great player. You know, I always say that Charles Barkley did one thing on the NBA on a court, on a basketball court, better than anyone I've ever seen, including Michael Jordan and Dr. J and everyone else. Charles Barkley could get a defensive rebound and take it coast to coast better than anyone I've ever seen. Yep. Like, I mean, he'd get the ball. Of course, Dr. J and Michael Jordan and a lot of guys could do that. But Barkley would snatch a defensive rebound, turn, and like go 3 dribbles down the court and slam it with like 2 guys hanging on him. He was a ridiculous player, but he doesn't know more about the game than anybody else. Just because he's been talking about it forever, he doesn't know any more. He makes all these stupid comments that aren't even close to being real, and they never pan out. Like, he says all these things that never pan out. You know, and he's no expert. You're just sitting there, just talking. Just give him a beer and let him talk to us. Like, we can go back and forth. Nah, you don't know. You guys don't know shit. You guys can't play. Well, you can't play anymore either. Like, it's just so stupid.
I think a lot of it is those guys. Like, again, they don't want to say that there's better shooters now. Guys can shoot. Even though, like what you said, you know, these guys just break a guy down on the dribble and they take them. You know, they just can't get over. I don't think that of watching guys now and all the money these guys are making too, and just kind of understanding that things do evolve and things change. Like, even Adam Silver, I read an article. Adam Silver, like he said, like, the game has changed. He goes, I'm not sure if it changed for the best. He goes, there's things we got to work on. Like, he's even said that
changed for the best.
Yeah, he said we got to work on things. There's fundamental things that aren't happening that we need to do. And I remember, like, about a month ago, I told you about that one guy, that one article, that heavyset guy that works for ESPN. Now Wojo. Is his name Wojo? Wojo's the one who quit.
Brian Windhurst.
Yeah, because Wojo's the one who quit, right, and went to St. Bonaventure.
Thank God. Wojo quit.
He's some kind of guy at St. Bonaventure in the middle of nowhere.
I'm finding out, though, now Wojo didn't quit. They let Wojo say that he quit because he went and took an athletic director job or something at St. Bonaventure. But ESPN's just fired 500 employees. ESPN's losing money. I mean, they're losing money like a oil tanker on the rocks. I mean, it's like. So Wojo didn't quit. Like, they were,
they let him go. They let him bow out.
They weren't going to renegotiate, you know, that dud for whatever money he was making. They weren't going to pay that guy any more money. Yep. You know. Well, here's the last thing I'll say about Barkley. You know, he's been working for TNT for decades, and he's been great. Like, I love him. Like, he's fun to watch, right? He's entertaining. But the one thing that you got to know about Barkley is that he's never won in his entire life, ever. Like, he never won in the NBA. The closest he got was with Phoenix when they lost to the Bulls in the finals. He was great in the finals. He was awesome, but he's never won. He never won at Auburn. I think he got beat by Richmond.
Yeah, no, they were good. They were a good
at Auburn
college team.
He never won Auburn, and then he went to high school in Leeds. I think Leeds, Alabama. Is that it? Leeds.
Yeah. That's right. No,
he's got a great story though. He says that he was the backup point guard. He said he couldn't play. He said he was the backup point guard, and then somehow he grew like 6 inches his junior year or something.
And then he became a power forward. But he's like, I like Barkley.
But he could handle the ball. But because he was a backup point guard, he could handle the ball. When he got bigger, he could still handle the ball. Which is
and that gets to your point. Like when he'd get a defensive rebound, and he'd just go. He could handle it. He would just go. He could handle it as a kid.
But the bottom line is Barkley knows nothing about winning basketball. He's never won, ever in his whole life. I don't know if they had Fran Allison back in Alabama like we had when we were 11, 12 years old. I bet you he never won in Fran Allison. I bet you he never won his whole life. Ask him. If we ever got a chance to ask him, did your team ever win a championship? Like, what do you know about the Warriors winning? What do you know about Houston Rockets? Have no idea. The Rockets have no idea how to win. What are you talking about? You never won.
Well, who reminds him of that? Who reminds him of that every show? Who reminds him that he's never won at every show?
Well, probably, I think Shaq. Right?
Every show, Shaq reminds him. And then Barkley says, yeah, but I didn't have Kobe. I didn't have Dwayne Wade. And Shaq goes, look at man.
He didn't have Kobe, but he did have Dr. J. He did have Moses Malone. He also had
I forgot about Bobby Jones.
Yeah, I mean they were older, but he did have those guys, right? And Kenny Smith is on that show too forever. And Kenny Smith won back-to-back championships with the Rockets. With Akeem. And Barkley just says that Kenny Smith was the water boy. Kenny Smith sometimes says, yeah, I remember on the Rockets, sometimes, when we were in a big series or a big game, Akeem would say to us, and then Barkley would cut him off and say, get my shoes, go get my shoes. Like Barkley's great like that, make fun of everybody, calls Shaq Shrek, but he's never won. So that's my thing. Barkley, we got to send it to him. It's great. He's entertaining, but you ain't never won. Like, stop talking like you know what winning basketball is. You don't. You've been watching it like us.
But wait a minute, too. What was that lineup he had in Phoenix? Wait a minute. He had a good lineup in Phoenix, too.
It wasn't great. It wasn't great, though. It was good. The second best player on that team was Kevin Johnson, the point guard, who was really good, but he was still only like a 5'11", 6-foot point guard. He was good. He had young Dan Marley. I think they had Richard Dumas. I think they had Richard Dumas.
And Sabalas on the team?
No, not Sabalas. He had a couple centers, Mark West. I don't know. It wasn't that great of a team. I mean, it was good. It was a good team,
And Tom Chambers didn't play on that team. Tom Chambers? Did he play on that team?
No, I don't think.
That team wasn't that good. You're right. They weren't that good. No.
I mean, they were good, Barkley was by far the best player. And like I said, Barkley was awesome in the finals. I think game 6, he scored like 40 or 50 points. Barkley was a great player, but he still doesn't know how to win.
No.
He doesn't know how to win.
I'm going to give him a little pass on what he said, because I just think sometimes he just says shit, and he just says it to say it. I think really probably deep inside he's pissed off. I think deep inside he's pissed off.
No.
He's pissed off.
He doesn't say things. He doesn't just say things to say it. He believes it. When he says the Warriors are a jump shooting team and they're not going to win, he's not just saying it to say it. He thinks they're not going to win. Well, he thinks that a jump shooting team can't win.
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with the Rockets. I know they had some tough years recently, and now they're doing pretty good. And so I think the show, just I don't know if the show is actually with ESPN, because I saw him on the news the other day, and Dan Patrick, he was on Dan Patrick's show, and Dan Patrick was asking him, like, so you're going to do the show at ESPN? And he goes, well, I'm still listening to options. He goes, there's some other options. I think he said Amazon and something else. So I don't know. And then he said something bad about ESPN. He said, I'm not sure if we're going to do ESPN. He goes, I know one thing.
Dan Patrick hasn't been with ESPN in forever.
Oh, no. I'm saying Barkley. Barkley was telling that Dan Patrick was asking him, are you guys going to go with ESPN? And da-da-da. Yeah, Dan Patrick's with NBC Sports, right?
Yeah. Barkley. Yeah. Dan Patrick doesn't like ESPN. ESPN's going under.
Yeah, so Barkley said. So Barkley said, I don't know if we're going to go with ESPN. He goes, I'm looking at different options. I'm talking to Amazon or something else. He said something else, and then he said, he goes, I know one thing. He goes, when I was with TNT, he goes, I love those guys. He goes, and I like the guys at ESPN. He goes, but he goes, I don't feel like it's organized. He goes, I don't even know when I'm doing a show. He goes, the guys at TNT, they were right on top of everything. He goes, I knew everything. They had me all set up. I knew everything, what was happening.
Who said
Barkley said that.
I'm doing a show?
Barkley said that because they've done a couple of shows at ESPN, but I don't think it's a done deal yet. And he was throwing those guys under the bus already that work on the show. He goes, I don't even know when I'm doing a show. He goes, I don't know what's happening. And so but you know what? It's like all these guys, Tom. You say it all the time. All these guys are insiders. All these guys got breaking news. All these guys, this and that and this. You find out, you find out it's nothing. It's just like me and you sitting here talking.
Yeah, they got nothing. Yeah.
We got just as much inside info.
Nobody's got an inside. Nobody knows anybody at the Miami Heat who's giving them the inside scoop on whether Jimmy Butler's getting traded. That's bullshit. Anyone that's on television saying I got a source in Miami, bullshit. No, you don't. You don't got.
I want to switch gears from basketball, but I want to ask you one more thing. What needs to change in the game of basketball that will help the NBA?
Yeah, there's nothing. You're not going to be able to do it. There's a lot of things that are hurting the NBA. One of the things that used to make the NBA great was when they got guys from college, they were already famous. Ralph Sampson and Michael Jordan and James Worthy and Patrick Ewing, like Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. When they came to the NBA, they were already ridiculously famous. We all knew them because March Madness was so great. Everybody watched it. College basketball was so great. Well, the NBA killed college basketball. It ruined college basketball. And the NBA didn't do it out of spite. They didn't do it because they wanted to. But what happened was these young kids don't want to play in college when they could be making money. And their parents and all of their advisors don't want these 18, 19-year-old kids playing for the University of Louisville or North Carolina State, risking themselves playing for a college when they could be making money in the NBA. So they all go to the NBA as soon as possible, right? Now, most of them don't even go to college, right? So that's one of the things that's killed the NBA. And that isn't done out of anyone screwing up. It's just the way the money was so big that it was just the way it evolved. You can't expect. I remember one time back in 2013 or something, we were watching March Madness, and a player for Louisville, it was in the Final Four or something. I don't remember. Or it was in a Final 8 game. There was a player for Louisville. He fell. He got injured on the sidelines in front of the Louisville bench, and his leg shattered, and the bone popped through the skin. It was one of those gruesome injuries, right? And it was awful. The whole team saw it, and everyone was horrified. And so this player got taken away, and we've never seen him since. He was a good player. He wasn't a superstar. He was a good player. But every kid that's watching that is saying, I'm not breaking my leg for Louisville. Get out of here. I'm going to go play in the G League where I can make some money, or I'm going to go like Jalen Green, the star of the Rockets. He went to the Rockets as soon as he could. He skipped college. So that's one of the things that's killed the NBA is nobody wants to go to college and get injured. Can't blame them. The other thing that's killed the NBA is for some reason they've fallen in love. Well, no, what is it called? Advanced metrics. It's all the advanced statistics, right? It's all of those advanced statistics that they got all these numbers saying where they should shoot. And what's a better shot? The 3-point shot is a better shot than a 20-foot jumper, a 20-foot 2-pointer. So they have all these advanced metrics and advanced stats, and that's killed the game because Now, like I said, everyone's shooting 3-pointers. Like sometimes you'll go down the court and they'll shoot a 3-pointer. They'll get the rebound. They'll throw it around the horn and they'll shoot another 3-pointer and they'll miss. They'll get a rebound. They'll shoot 3-3-pointers and then go back down the court. So, there's a lot where the game has changed. You can't fix it. The NBA is not fixable. It's going to evolve maybe, but you don't just make rules to change it and say, okay, listen, we got to make the game like it was in the 90s. It's never going to happen that way. Adam Silver, we know Adam. He's way smarter than us. He's smart. He's one of the smartest guys, I think, one of the best commissioners. He doesn't have a clue what to do. He doesn't know what to do.
No, well, he actually said that in an article I read a couple days ago. He said, look, this isn't like just we move the 3-point line. He goes, it doesn't matter. He goes, goes, there's things to talk about, things to work out. He goes, but it's not like you just move the 3-point line and everything's fixed. He goes, I understand we've got things we got to work on. We got to figure it out. He goes, but it's not like that you just do that. You change a rule. You do this or that. He even said that. Exactly.
Well, in his defense, he's changed some rules. He's tried to eliminate flopping, which is such an eyesore to the game. And, and guys like Reggie Miller and some of these other guys, they've taken flop into an art form, an advanced art form. So he's tried to address some rules changes that would take away some of the things where we're all watching it and going, that's just awful. And the referees are falling for it because, it's hard to detect. So he has tried to change some things to make the game, more pleasing to watch. The other thing is they say the game's not as good, but I say that everybody can dribble, pass, and shoot now. Back in the day, like I always said this, like there were guys that played 20 years in the NBA that couldn't dribble, pass, or shoot. The Celtics used to have a guy named Greg Kite. He was the backup center. Greg Kite would come in the game. He couldn't dribble, pass, or shoot. He couldn't do anything. He had zero skills. And he played in the NBA for over 10 years.
Remember when we were kids, like certain guys would do certain things in a weird way. The point guard was the guy who dribbled. You know what I mean? Like it was weird. The shooting guard was the shooting guard. Like remember, it was like certain guys had certain skills and they only worked on certain things. And now, like you said, everyone can do everything. But listen, I want to change subject real quick here. I love that basketball talk because you know what? We get a lot of action when we talk about basketball. When we talked about that Steph Curry, when Reggie Miller said he's the best shooter and this and that and this, right? You know how many people watch that and listen to it? People love the NBA. The NBA is a huge fan base. I think it's bigger than the NBA.
They're saying that the numbers are plummeting.
Well, but people
the viewership has gone way, way down. So, they're saying that that's a problem.
Yeah, I know it is, but it's still globally, like I just see in our little world, when me and you talk about basketball, I see the hits compared to we talk about football or anything else. People around the world, just basketball is very universal. Even though they're having trouble, it's a great sport. I think just overall, it just translates really well. Whereas sometimes American football doesn't into Europe and other countries. But anyway, I got to switch gears because this is a Viking show. And as you know, it's a Minnesota Vikings / sweat show. and Vinny's going to be, and we're gonna do our bets later. Father Tony hasn't texted me. Wait, I got to see if Father Tony texts me. No, he didn't text me. Anyway, so I want to switch gears here real quick, and we'll just talk Minnesota Viking football, and then we'll go into the bets. And when we go into the bets, we'll talk about those teams a little bit. Because so I want to ask you what you think of the Vikings won Monday, Detroit lost. Do you still think I got a chance?
Yeah, here's why you got a chance. Detroit's in trouble. Do you know what's going on with Detroit?
Yes.
They're in trouble. They lost Aiden Hutchinson early in the year. He's out for the year. Then they just lost their best defensive tackle, Aleem McNeil, who's a Pro Bowl All-Pro player. They lost him for the year. They lost their power running back, Devin Montgomery, for the year. They're getting decimated with injuries. So now they have to depend on Jahmyr Gibbs to be the workhorse back, and he's not. That's not his role. Montgomery's the guy that pounds the line of scrimmage. Defensively, Detroit gave up 48 points or something to Buffalo, and then they're struggling defensively. So Minnesota's got a very good shot. They played Detroit the last game of the year, or what?
Yeah, in Detroit. So
they got a very good shot right now.
They also lost.
I got some bad news for you, buddy. I got some really bad news for you.
They lost Montgomery, the running back, too.
That's what I said.
Oh,
Devin Montgomery. Yeah. But I got some bad news for you, though. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if Minnesota or Detroit wins that division because neither one of them is beating the Eagles. Minnesota's definitely not beating the Eagles. They never beat the Eagles. They can't beat the Eagles. So it doesn't matter. The Eagles are the best team in that conference now. They're not going to lose. The Eagles got to play the Washington Commanders. They got to play. I mean, they got to play the Commanders. They play the Cowboys, and they play the Giants. The Eagles are going to finish. What do they got 3 losses? They're going to finish 1, 2. No, the Eagles got 2 losses. They're going to finish 15-2. So they're going to have home field advantage in the playoffs. So the winner of Minnesota and Detroit, whoever wins the division and then whoever wins the playoff game, they're going to have to go to Philadelphia. They're not going to beat the Eagles. So it's a moot point.
Well, it says here.
The Eagles are going to kill.
Wait a minute. Well, it does say something here. So I thought I read something that if the Vikings win out, even if Philly wins out, the Vikings still have a shot for the 1 seed. I don't know if that's true, but I do read here for under Detroit. If Detroit wins out, it says they win the tiebreaker over Philadelphia based on best win percentage in conference games. So if they win, I think so they go by conference games. Right now in conference, the Vikings are 7-2, the Philadelphia Eagles are 7-2, and Detroit's 8-1. So see, if Detroit ends up playing, who they playing? They're playing the Vikings. Who they got left?
They play this is Detroit. Well, Detroit goes to Chicago Sunday, and then they go to San Francisco the following Monday, and then they got a short week. They go from Monday, and they play the Vikings on Saturday. So the final game is Minnesota. They host Minnesota on Saturday. So if Detroit wins their final 3 games, then they're going to have the number 1 seed. But it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but I'm asking you, does it matter?
Because if the Eagles go into Detroit.
You're saying even if Detroit or Vikings have home field, they end up with the 1 seed, they still won't get past Philly at home.
No. I mean, if the Vikings get them at home, they got a better chance. But the Vikings never play the Eagles well. I've never seen them beat the Eagles.
And I don't think
Detroit could if they were healthy. If Detroit was healthy, they could beat them. But Detroit's not healthy. They're not good. They also lost they lost that Carlton Davis. They lost Davis, they lost McNeil, they lost Hutchinson, they lost Montgomery. They're hurting. They're really hurting. So it's not.
You're right. It's wishful thinking. First of all, the Vikings got to get past Seattle. Then they got to get past Green Bay, and then so it's wishful. They're going to make the playoffs, and so I really just want guys to stay healthy. Detroit, they're not healthy, and you're right. They're probably going to stumble against the Vikings, or believe it or not, against the Bears, or something's going to happen. But even if they don't, Philadelphia. If Philadelphia wins all of them, if Detroit somehow beats the Vikings and they have the tiebreaker thing, that will be good for them. But I agree with you. Even though they'll have home field, then if they win the tiebreaker from Philly, I don't think they can beat Philly even at home if that was the conference championship. Not the way they are.
Yeah, because you know why? Because the last time Philly made it to the Super Bowl or won the Super Bowl, they played the Vikings in Philly, and it was embarrassing. The Vikings were embarrassing.
That was the year that Hurts was that Hurts' first year, and he got injured, and
no, that was when Nick Foles won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but didn't Nick Foles come in?
Yeah, no, that was when Case Keenum Keenum scored the touchdown to Stephon Diggs against New Orleans, and then the next week they went to Philadelphia.
So was Nick Foles always the starter that year?
The next week they went to Philadelphia.
I know, but was Nick Foles
Case Keenum faced Nick Foles. Nick Foles won the Super Bowl.
I know. What I'm asking is, was Nick Foles always the starter that year?
No, Carson Wentz got hurt in like week 13.
That's what I was thinking. And I'm going to tell you something else, and then we're going to get to bets. We're going to get to Father Tony and get to bets. I want to tell you another thing that happened that game when the Vikings went in there and got crushed by the Philadelphia Eagles. They lost that game, couldn't go to the Super Bowl, and also some of the fans, the Viking fans, got beat up too in the parking lot.
Yeah, of course.
A couple ladies got beat up by a couple guys.
Yeah,
absolutely. They were beating up these old ladies with Viking jerseys on, these Eagle guys. They were so wasted. They need to put that jail back in the stadium. Right, Tom? They got to put it back.
That was a veteran stadium. Yeah, that's great. You're right. 100%.
All right, so let me get Father Tony's like dying because he's been I think he really wants to make a comeback. Because last time he wasn't that, was he 0-3? I think he was 0-3. Let me add him in here. I think he wants to make a big comeback because I don't think he did good last time. Hang on. Let me add this guy. Where is he? Is he in here? Where is he? Where is he? It's Father Tony. Father Tony, I'm trying to remember the last time. Was it 2 weeks ago or a week ago? 2 weeks ago we did some picks, and we didn't get together last week. But I think you did a New York centric 3-teamer.
Yeah.
So Tommy, what was he at Buffalo? I got to go back and look at that. Where was that? 2 weeks ago? I think you were 0-3 though. Is that possible?
Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago. Hey, Father Tony, how you doing?
Hey.
You doing okay?
Yeah, all right. I'm all right.
So it was week 13, Tommy?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, so you took the Giants. Did you take the Giants? They played the Cowboys.
Yeah, I took the Giants. I took
Bills.
I took Buffalo, and I took the Jets.
Where's the Bills? The Bills won, though. No, the Bills beat the 49ers, but the Jets lost, I think. That's the other one that you had,
Big
right?
surprise.
The Jets were the Jets.
Hey, Father Tony, speaking of Mama Luke's, because I know you're going to interject Mama Luke's into the conversation eventually. Did you see Jonathan Taylor? Did you see Jonathan Taylor, the running back for the Indianapolis Colts, break off a 41-yard touchdown run, went through the line, broke to the right side, went down the right sideline into the end zone like an amazing touchdown run, but he dropped the ball 1 inch before he crossed the goal line? Did you see that play? He dropped the ball. He laid the ball 1 inch before he crossed the goal line. The stupid idiot. Ball goes through the end zone, and the other team gets it on the 20. So he's the Mama Luke of the week.
Mama Luke of the week.
All right.
Yeah. It sounds compelling, but I didn't catch that tape.
It happens a lot.
Okay, but did I describe it? Did I describe it adequately enough that you could visualize the guy break it through?
Yeah.
Right?
Drop
okay.
it before the goal. Yeah.
And it happens more than you think, Father Tony. These guys get cocky, and for whatever reason, they don't want to hold the ball like old school and go across the goal line, and then you go 3 or 4 yards into the end zone. You know you're there. The referee's got his hands up for a touchdown. They don't want to do that. They think it's cool if they kind of let it go down low near their hip and just drop it, but they're dropping it before the goal line.
Yeah.
And then so it bounces out of the end zone, and the other team gets it at the 20-yard line, right, Tom? It's a touchback. Yeah, it's a touchback.
Look, I don't look at the internet very much. I don't mess with that TikTok or the Insta, Facebook, or whatever it is. But every now and then, I get to see some of these videos. Some of my favorite ones are when these athletes, whether it's the UFC or whether it's football, they're acting cocky, and then they mess up. It's my favorite stuff on the internet, so I'm gonna have to look for that. What's the guy's name?
Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor. What?
All you got to do is listen to this. Google Jonathan. Taylor Mama Luke. Google it. It'll come up.
Isn't Jonathan Taylor the kid from that Tim Allen show?
What?
No. That guy's got 3 names. I think he's got 3 names. He's a 3-name guy. Yeah.
And you might have to put. Will he have to put Colts? The Indian.
Yeah. Just put Jonathan Taylor fumble end zone.
Jonathan Taylor fumble end zone. Okay.
So Father Tony. So do they have separate social media apps for people of the cloth? Is there like a whole different world that Tom and I don't know? Like that people got that dark web. Like you don't do Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Do they have like a thing like under the golden dome at some social media thing?
You guys got the bright web, right?
Yes.
Bright web, the pure web.
Yeah. Okay, listen. Let's pick our teams. Listen, I'm gonna pick Father Tony's teams. I'll tell you right now, Father Tony's gonna go on a limb here. He's gonna go on a limb. Monday night, the Saints are marching into Green Bay to play the mighty Green Bay Packers. It's gonna be a snowstorm, and he's gonna pick the Saints to beat Green Bay. Am I right, Father Tony?
I did not choose the Saints this week.
Okay, very good.
That sounds like a good bet. That sounds like a good bet.
No, it's not a good bet. So Father Tony's second bet that I predict Father Tony's going to make, his second bet is he's going to pick the Jets over the Rams in New York because the Rams play in L.A. in a dome stadium, and he thinks that the Rams are going to have a difficult time playing in the weather in the Meadowlands. Am I right, Father Tony?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Nailed it. Yeah.
So Father Tony still believes in Aaron Rodgers. He believes in Aaron Rodgers, Father Tony.
Yeah.
Even though Aaron Rodgers has said publicly that he was raised Catholic, but he's not really into that anymore. He's got other little angles of religious beliefs that he has, Father Tony. You're still going to pick that guy, huh? Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback of that team.
Yeah. Well, you know what they say, forgiveness is gold, right?
Father Tony, let me tell you something. Father Tony does not give a damn who the quarterback of the team is. He's essentially picking he's just taking the Jets.
Taking the Jets. That's
All right. Okay.
What did I tell you about the Jets? My dad's favorite team, right?
Tell us your other picks this week, Father Tony.
Okay, I'm very surprised you didn't get this one, T. I'm taking the Eagles over the Mamalukes. I want a straight money line with that. And let me tell you, is there a way that I can make this bet sweeter? Because I love to watch these morons lose. Is there a way I can make it better? I can take the hook and the point and the snort of the nose. What's the thing?
Yeah. So you want to see Tampa Bay beat the Cowboys?
No. No, the Eagles over the.
No, he wants to know if there's another bet he can do with the Eagles.
Okay.
The Eagles are minus 190 on the money line. They're minus 3.5 points for even money. And then the over-under is 45.5.
Yeah. I want to make my win on this.
You want to go big on this, Tom.
Big. I'm going big on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could – you could tease it, but you don't have to because Saquon Barkley gained over 200 yards last time against the Commanders, more affectionately known as the Mamalukes, right? So, Father Tony, you basically don't acknowledge the Commanders. You don't acknowledge it. You think it's a bogus, lame, just made-up name to satisfy a certain part of the culture.
Yeah, you know what? Right? I only say Mamalukes. I only say Mamalukes because I'm trying to be, holy here. There's another word I'd like to use to describe these guys. I'm not going to do it because I know this is a family program. And so
does the other word? What's the other word start with?
It starts with an S. That's actually 2 words. But
well, Tommy, what if he does this, Tommy? He's gonna instead of laying 190 to make 100 on the money line, why doesn't he just take a -3 at minus 110? So that he's gonna it just puts more money on gives up the 3 points. And he can put more money down. He's saving $80 every 100. Because like Tommy said, and it doesn't even matter because they're going to beat them. There's no way Barkley's, they're going to score. They're going to win.
Yeah.
So if you want to make that's probably
Good.
the way to do it. Take them minus the 3 points, not the money line, because you only have to put $110 to win 100 on the -3. So you can put more on that instead of investing 190 to only make 100 on the money line. That's how you can double up on the Mama Luke's.
Let's do that.
And the Jets are the Jets getting points? I think they got points at home. Are the Jets?
Yeah. Yeah, the Jets are a home dog.
Oh, so you're going to get the Jets +3 at home. So that's a
Okay.
good even. Now, what's your third? Now, this is Tommy. What do you think? The Saints are out, so that's not his third. What would his third be? Father Tony's third, Tommy. What do you think?
He likes the Steelers.
Does he? Does he really?
Yeah, he's a big Steelers guy.
Oh, and that's a Saturday game, Father Tony. We have Saturday games too now
That's right.
coming up because of the holiday.
I
So
saw
do you
that.
like the Steelers?
He did it again. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. I'm taking. Yeah.
so they're
Yeah.
playing
Yeah.
Ravens, and I think they got to be getting points, right, Tom?
How does he do that? How does T do that? What do you got going on over there, Tom?
I don't know how he does it.
I listen. I pay attention. I pay attention to my friends. I know the way you guys think. I understand you.
Okay.
I understand you. You know, you're a smart guy. You're a very smart guy, but you're not that complicated.
When it comes to this football.
But Father Tony,
Father, I mean, just in life in general, I could see you coming a mile away. I know exactly where you're coming from. I get you. You're not that complicated.
I saw you before you got up this morning.
oh my,
Yeah. You're not that complicated, Father. And it's a good, like I said, you're a smart guy, though. You're a smart guy. I follow your lead now.
Okay.
We're good now. I got you.
Okay.
All right.
Father Tony, you're +6.5 points with that pick. Tommy,
Oh, yeah?
the Steelers are getting 6.5 points.
Father Tony, my son always. Yeah. No, the Steelers are getting a lot of points against the Ravens. Father Tony, I got another funny thing. My son, he always brings up how you wanted to kick his ass.
Really?
My son, Father Tony wanted to fight Roman.
Philip, what's our bets?
Father Tony wanted to go at it with Roman.
Some kids need a spanking. You know? Yeah.
Father Tony wanted to kick Roman's ass.
Put him in line. Yeah.
Father Tony was that like after Mass or something? Did he not?
No, Father Tony was over the house one Sunday afternoon for Sunday dinner, and then him and Roman were talking. Like Roman's into martial arts and stuff like that. And I don't know, one thing led to another, and pretty soon Father Tony's like, "I'll take you out right now." And Roman's like, "What are you talking about? You can't take me." And Roman still brings it up. He's like, "Hey, your friend, the priest there, he thinks he could beat my ass." I'm like, "Well, listen, Father Tony's a tough guy."
Yeah.
But at least it was after dinner, right? So it didn't ruin dinner.
Of course.
Yeah, Father Tony had to get a full stomach to then.
That's it.
No.
So
Yeah.
That, wow, you know what? That would have been a good.
Okay, so
so who's gonna go now?
okay, listen, I got my 3 picks, and I'm right in line with Father Tony this week. I like the Steelers plus the points, right, on Saturday. The Steelers are playing the Ravens 1:30 on Saturday, not on Sunday, on Saturday, right?
Saturday.
Steelers are +6.5. I like the Steelers plus the points, right?
Yeah.
Then on Sunday, I'm sorry, Father Tony, but I'm going to have to take the Rams over the Jets in New York. I think the Rams, they can win on a last-second field goal if it's not too windy. So I like the Rams over the Jets, and I'm going to stick with my picks all year long. I'm picking against the Cowboys every week because I think they're the worst team in the league. The Tampa Bay is -4 in Delhi. And Tampa Bay is going to win that game by a touchdown convincingly, easily.
But you did lose last week. Your streak of winning against the Cowboys was done.
I know, but overall, I've won a ton against the Cowboys this year. So yeah, like. Well,
Well,
that's how bad that Bryce Young, he stunk last week. I mean, they every time they touched him, the ball came loose.
but they
I mean,
still
that Bryce Young, he plays like he wishes they were wearing flags.
Yeah, I think he was the weak link of your system. Like he was the one player in your system of betting against the Cowboys.
Terrible. He was terrible.
He was terrible. Now, what the other thing though that you have there, like I'm confused about that one. I like the Steelers. That's a good. You like anybody tonight? Father Tony, there's a game tonight. Broncos and the Chargers.
Yeah, I don't like. Listen, the Chargers. The Chargers were so bad last week, 40-17 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yeah. And Denver's been playing well, and that's in Los Angeles, but it's going to be like a home game for Denver because their fans travel, so their fans are going to be in L.A. The Chargers have no fans in L.A. Nobody likes the Chargers. The Chargers are the football version of the Clippers. Nobody likes the Chargers, I mean, so I don't like that game.
I might not
What's
even
that?
watch the game. I might watch a romantic comedy tonight on Netflix before I watch that game tonight. I mean, who the heck wants to watch that thing on Prime Video? They got terrible announcers. The game's gonna stink. It's like. I
mean, Kirk Herbstreit, I don't think is a terrible announcer. I think Kirk Herbstreit and Al Michaels are good announcers, but the problem with them is they've been getting these dud games. They're so bad. The games are so awful that the announcers have to acknowledge, boy, this is a terrible game. Or Al Michaels will say, my God, there's a penalty on every play, and it's so the announcers have to acknowledge how bad the games are that they're calling. I mean, they don't want to do that. Nobody wants to be working on a show or be working on a broadcast. And come out and say, man, this must be really bad for you guys to be watching it because it's so unentertaining. But that's what they've been up against this year.
A couple weeks ago when the Bills played Cleveland in that snowstorm, remember that crazy game in that snowstorm? It was a Thursday night a couple weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago.
I thought that was Cleveland and Pittsburgh.
Or Cleveland and Pittsburgh. Yeah, you're right. Cleveland and Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And I tweeted, I said, it took a snowstorm, an act of God for a Thursday night game to be a good game.
Yeah, it ended up being a good game. You're right. Yeah.
A gigantic snowstorm, an act of God to make a decent game finally on Thursday. But Tommy, I like the Steelers. Because guess what's going to happen this week with me, Mr. Over-Under, Father Tony, Tommy, guess what? I don't see a game this week that I like as an over that I can actually say it's going to go over. I'm looking at these games because I don't bet under, and I don't know one game here that I could say with confidence. Yeah,
there is one game. There is one game, weather permitting, Barry D. The Cleveland and Cincinnati is going to go over 47. It's going to be, Cleveland's going to throw the ball up and down the field, and they're not going to be able to stop Cincinnati and Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Yosevich. Want me to say a couple more names, Father Tony? I could drop a couple more names for you.
What about the quarterback for the Browns, though? It's the guy from Vegas that went to UCLA. He's playing. They took out crazy guy. They took out the guy, the blind guy.
Wait a minute. Dorian Thompson-Robinson's playing?
He's starting. What's his name's not starting because after last week he was again throwing the ball like Ray Charles to the wrong team. He's like this guy. He's like crazy. And you did a rant. You did a rant on him last week. I'm going to post it this week because he's benched. You were talking how terrible he is, Jameis Winston.
Yeah, he's bad. He's bad. He's so bad. He's so bad that he can't even watch the play clock. Like he's the worst. The play clock's right there underneath the goalpost. He's under center and it's running down. And he doesn't even. He's doing something. He's over there. He's telling the wide receiver, "Hey, where's your sister going this weekend? Like I'd like to take her out." He's a nut, and the play clock runs down, delay a game. Like how do you That's I don't know. He's the worst, man. That guy's the ditziest quarterback I've ever seen, man.
So Tommy, there's a guy in Vegas that Tommy's come across, and he went to UCLA, and he plays for the Browns, and he's going to be the quarterback. He's got 3 names. What's his 3 names? He's got 3 names.
Yeah, Dorian. His name is Dorian Thompson Robinson.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
DTR.
You know.
So he's playing. So you still look the over with him playing?
Let me ask you something, Father Tony. This is off the subject real quick. But do you like those athletes that have 3 names?
No. And I'll tell you what else I don't like. I don't like the athletes, especially I haven't seen it in any of the sports. I like these football players that spend the day before the game in the salon getting their weave done with the long hair. Why? What's going on with that? Football players. These are
okay.
men.
I'm glad you brought that up, Father. I'm glad you brought that up because they're sitting in a chair in a
I'm
salon. Glad you brought my buddy the other day is a big Buffalo Bills fan. He's from Buffalo, and he was saying that James Cook, the running back that has the beautiful weave, the long hair down, you can't even see his name on the back of his jersey. He was running with the ball. He was breaking away for a touchdown. And not like Jonathan Taylor, where he fumbled on the 1-inch line. He was running, and the defender grabbed his hair, and pulled him back with his hair.
Yeah.
And my buddy's like, can't that guy cut his hair so he can at least score a touchdown?
There you go.
You know, you tackle him with his hair, right? And so I was telling my buddy, I said, I got something worse than that. I go, I remember a basketball player that got drafted in the first round about 7 or 8 years ago. His name was Alfred Payton. It was spelled Alfred, E-L-F-R-I-D. Spelled the name Alfred wrong because a lot of the guys, their parents, they know how to spell, right? You see the one kid, the parents called him Anfernee because they couldn't spell Anthony. They called him Anfernee. A-N-F-E-R-N-E-E, right? So anyway, this kid, Alfred Payton, right? He had, the NBA players, they got that thing. I don't know, they do the thing with their hair. It's like the Jamaicans. I don't know what it's called, but he had it over the front. Huh?
Like Cam Newton.
He had it up, but he had it in the front. And I swear to you, I'm not exaggerating. He had it dangling in front of his face. Father Tony. He had it dangling in front of his face like this, right? So the hair was like this in front of his face, right? And so he was playing, right? He was like a young point guard that the Orlando Magic or someone drafted him, and he was playing, and the hair was like this, and he couldn't make a shot. Like, he could never score. And I used to say, can that guy even see? Like, his hair's down in his face. Can he even see the basket?
Yeah.
So, listen. So, he played like 3 or 4 years. Alfred Payton played 3 or 4 years. He disappeared, right? Which is what happens. A guy gets drafted in the first round, doesn't make it. He bounces from team to team, and then pretty soon he's playing in France or Turkey or in the G League. So he disappears for a couple of years. Then he reappears. Now he's back in the NBA. I saw him on a roster. He's a backup point guard somewhere, and he got all of his hair cut off, right? He's got a short hairstyle now, and he could shoot. He can shoot now.
Well,
like he's making shots.
The hairstyle then. It was the hairstyle.
The hair was in his face like this.
Of course.
And Father Tony, I also think the front of it, Tommy, was bleached. Wasn't he? Did he have dark hair and then a bleach patch in the front of his
I don't know if his was bleached, but I've seen it bleached before, buddy.
Yeah,
I've seen it bleached before.
Schroeder's had it bleached. But Father Tony.
Yeah, here he is. So look.
Are you going to show me a picture?
So here he is. This is him. Alfred Payton is number 2. This is when he had the long hair, but I'll show you it's even more exaggerated. Well, now he's got a cut.
Father Tony, I can't explain why these guys are at the salon doing these things. I really don't even get it.
They got to make their little appointment. They got to get there on time. They sit
Look
there
at that.
reading their little magazine.
Wait a minute, he froze up. Look at him. He's frozen, the guy.
There he is. Yeah.
What happened?
Move it over into the camera again. Do it again. Can you
look at the hair's in his face? You see that?
Look at that thing. It's like a rooster. It's like it looks like if you turned it like 180 degrees, it would look like Italy. Like that would be the boot, but the other way. But Father Tony, I have one before I get to my bets. I want to ask you about Tommy was talking about the guy with the long hair that was running for the touchdown, and the guy grabbed him from behind.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a legitimate play, or is it a penalty by the guy grabbing him?
I think if you're gonna go and wear your hair down your back like that, you should be able to grab it.
Yes,
throw the guy
right,
down.
Tommy?
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, and
Okay,
you know,
Barry D, do you think that guy could see?
No way.
You think that guy could actually see the basket?
But
There's
you know
no
what,
way.
Tommy? I got to tell you one thing. You got to show your friend that guy's hair and say, if this guy was running the ball in the end zone like Cook was, they wouldn't be able to grab the back of it because it's all in the front. So
Right.
the guy,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Right.
Yeah.
But Father Tony, yeah, the hair is part of the uniform. You
Part
can
of the
grab it.
uniform. That's the way it goes. You know, normally I would say, hey, that's a punk move. He's grabbing the hair. No, but you know what? You grow your hair down your back like that, coming out your helmet like that. You're sitting in a salon chair reading your magazine with the big dryer over your head like that, like a chick. Then yeah, you get to have your hair grabbed and thrown down. Yeah.
Because Tommy, like, if he played football, that basketball player, he'd have to have it in the helmet. Wait,
Yeah.
that's Cook.
That's the guy that got his hair pulled from behind. That's James Cook. Look at his attitude. Look at his facial expression right there saying, yeah, Father Tony, well, this is what I think. I'm cutting my hair right there, buddy.
Yeah. Well,
All right, I'm going to pick 3 over-unders. I don't care. I'm going to just pick 3 over-unders. Let me finish this stuff off here. I'm going to pick the Chiefs and the Texans over on Saturday because Mahomes is going to play. Guess what Mahomes' injury is, Tom? He's got an injury.
Yeah, he's got the high ankle sprain, which is bullshit. There ain't no such thing as a high ankle sprain. It's the dumbest thing. It's the dumbest thing I ever heard. High ankle sprain. He's got an ankle sprain. Just say it.
So I'm
I just say it, Father Tony. Right? It's an ankle sprain. Why do you got to get technical? Who cares where it is?
He's trying to glorify it, make it seem
Dumbest
bigger than
thing.
it is.
So that's a low over-under of 42.5. I'm going to take it at 42. Then I'm going to go to the Buccaneers-Cowboys. I'm going to take that game over. That game's going over. That over-under's higher. That's 48.5. That game's going over. I'm going to take that at 48.
All right.
And then the other one I'm going to take is Patriots and Bills. I'm going to take that one over, too. The Bills are home. The Bills are going to get 80 points on them. That's 46.5. I'm going to take those 3 over-unders. I think in the process of talking about these guys and their hair, from the basketball player to the football player, and Father Tony being offended by these guys going to the hair salon, which I don't blame them, I came up with 3 over-unders. But the one thing Father Tony I don't think knows about the Bears quarterback, Tommy, is he also goes to not just a hair salon, Tommy. He goes to a nail salon too.
Oh,
yeah, they do that. Yeah.
I can't take it. I can't take it.
He's the number 1 pick in the draft.
Listen, Father Tony, I remember that you didn't like the guys, the Penn and Teller act years ago when we were in Vegas. You didn't like Penn and Teller because you said the guy painted his nails, and you're like, I can't. That doesn't work for me.
What's going on with that? Let's just stop.
Yeah.
Okay,
listen, guys, I gotta roll.
Okay.
But real quickly, Father Tony, if you had to spell Alfred, how would you spell Alfred?
Alfred. I'd spell it the right way. I spell it Alfred. That's the way I'd spell it.
Alfred.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alfred.
Not ELFRID. Okay.
No.
All right.
No,
Listen,
no.
I gotta go, guys. But
All right, everybody. Thanks for showing up, everybody.
Okay.
Have a good holidays. We'll talk next week.
All right.
About
okay.
Eggnog, okay?
Merry Christmas, everybody. We could say Merry Christmas. Merry
Ring the
Christmas,
bells, Tony.
everybody.
Ring the bells, Father Tony. One time. Just ring them. All right, there we go.
Hey, yo. Put your hands together for Old Men in Sweat. Old Men in Sweat. Put your hands together, y'all. Barry D, Tommy T. We gonna have a good time tonight. Let's go. It's Old Men in Sweat.